DCFAYGOGUY. Welcome back to another What's Happening Now. Woo, baby. We got some stuff to talk about. I'm going to try my best to stay very on topic for this one. This one is sure to clock in to be a very long one because we had some shit that has been talked there. Well, not so much talked about. Well, talked about. We had some shit that came to light, and controversial shit. A lot of shit out of Astronomicon primarily. So that is going to be the highlight of this video. That is going to be the main topic, is the Astro stuff. I don't know yet what I'm going to come up with. I usually try to come up with the names of the titles of the videos after I do the video. That way it's kind of like I can do, something more structured to what really was the main meat. And, you got to come up with your clickbait titles. You know what I'm saying? So jumping right in, first and foremost, this was something I had seen posted in Discord. I immediately went and grabbed my own screenshot, but I do not remember what day this was, and I imagine the original picture that I took on my phone, which is what I'm recording with, probably says when I took it. But it was kind of not so much teased. I'm going to say this was like announced. Officially, unofficially announced, because it's happening. The fact that they have this image made tells me it's happening. We just don't know when. But Mighty Morphin Wackness 2. Now, don't really fully know all of the details of what this means. Does this mean a new EP along with a tour? Does it just mean another tour? My main suspicion is definitely, absolutely another tour. I don't think they would do just a Mighty Morphin Wackness 2 EP without having a tour. And honestly, I don't even think necessarily that they would do another EP. Potentially, there's a lot of potential for them to do that. That being said, if they do, if they do go on tour and they have a new exclusive EP only available on that tour, I would kind of like to see them bring the first one back and make it available on the tour. And then, hopefully they hit somewhere close to me, because I wanted to go to that first one, but the closest Mighty Morphin Wackness show was clear the fuck in, what's that name? Youngstown, Ohio, basically on the border of Pennsylvania. And that was going to be like damn near 6 hours to drive there. Could have done it, but just wasn't really totally feasible for me. And I'm actually recording this on the day that the Evil Across America tour is hitting Indiana. And they're going to be in a place that I could easily drive there. But I talked about it in a previous video, financially, it was just such a hit with doing our taxes that it just, I don't know how many shows I'm going to be going to right now. And it really fucking sucks, because I wanted to support that tour. But Mighty Morphin Wackness 2 officially teased by the super famous Funtime guys. I don't know if Clockwork E did as well. I did not go check that for whatever reason. But regardless, we have super famous Funtime guys flashing this image on their story on Facebook, which is it's huge. It's dope, because I immediately was like, I want them to do this tour more, because they pretty much hit the East Coast for the last time they went. So again, I don't know if this entails a new EP, if this just entails a new tour with the first EP available again on that tour, which honestly, that feels like kind of the best way to do it. That way, the ones that went to the first tour aren't missing out on this new EP, and that way, the ones that missed out on the first tour are getting an opportunity to get the first one. Or straight up, they just may be like, yo, we're going on this tour with this new EP available. You can only get this one on this tour. If you missed the first one, you're asked out. And if you're not able to make it to this one, you're asked out. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong. As much as that would be really fucking dope, I'm one of those people, and I've been vocal about this in the past. I've made videos. I don't like tour exclusives. And it's a really cool incentive, and I understand the incentive of doing that. And that's why, I ended up with files for that album. I listened to it 2 times. And then, it was very brought forth through other controversies that this was meant to be for the people that went to the tour. And I immediately was just like, all right, I'm not going to listen. I deleted it off my phone. I'm like, I'm not going to listen to this EP anymore unless I can actually get myself a copy of it. Because I wanted to respect, the incentives that was put in place, and it really felt like I was peeking at my presents around Christmas time. And, I like to abide by rules, and that felt like a rule I was breaking. And I'm like, I just want to respect it. So as much as I would hate for that to kind of be the case for those who have to miss out, I also get it. So, I mean, it sucks, but it's dope. But Mighty Morphin Wackness 2, officially teased. I'm going to say officially announced. We have no other details than that, but I mean, I think it's going down. I think it's going down, guys. So moving on from that, a couple little announcements, just not one announcement, and then like just kind of one little thing on that happened, and one of them was during Astro. But the first thing is the Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival, which is a big thing that I didn't even know about until like 2023. A coworker of mine actually had talked about wanting to go to Sonic Temple that year, and I was like, what the fuck is Sonic Temple? I had no fucking clue. Huge festival apparently that goes on in Ohio, and ICP as well as 3-6 Mafia have been announced to be appearing at that, and I think it would be really fucking dope. I don't fully see it happening, but the fact that the two of these were kind of announced together makes me kind of want to see them do some of their songs together. You know, just another Crazy Click, I Shot a Hater, maybe some Killjoy Club stuff. But also on that same hand, you know, there's people missing from Killjoy that wouldn't be able to jump in on that. And then you also got obviously Twiztid missing from the occasion, which, you know, to me, in my opinion, just another Crazy Click and I Shot a Hater. That shit was Killjoy Club. I feel like Killjoy Club was always kind of meant to be ICP, Twiztid, and 3-6 Mafia. That's something in our fucking timeline we didn't get to experience, and it exists in another reality that I would love to peek in and see. But I feel like that is something Killjoy Club would have been fucking dope to have, as fucking ICP, Twiztid, and 3-6 Mafia, you know, Juicy J and DJ Paul. I feel like that dynamic right there, the six of them together, always absolutely fucking killed it. And I know Gangsta Boo, I think she was on just in the Crazy Click. I don't think she was on I Shot a Hater though. So yeah, pretty cool. ICP announced for the Sonic Temple Festival along with 3-6 Mafia. A festival I'm not going to be going to, but it's cool for those that are going, or for those that are close and like, you know, I've never been to Sonic Temple. This now gives them like an incentive to go to that. I have no idea what tickets for that even cost, but hey, it's cool. ICP is hitting those fucking festivals, which I think is dope because again, they don't tour like that. So it's, you know, when you can go see them, go see them. But then the really fucking cool thing, and I only grabbed one image to really show here, and this is from Wacko the Kid. Violent J attended the House of Faygo event that Faygo was having, and when they first teased it, like, everybody in the comments was juggalos. Like, when are you guys gonna finally embrace ICP? When are you gonna fucking, you know, whatever, X as their, you know, whatever they said. And, you know, I always kind of just realized and just accepted that Faygo was never going to work with ICP in any kind of capacity. And just jumping back to Shockumentary, like they're getting rich and we're getting famous. Like that was just always the marriage between ICP and Faygo, is they love the product, they make the product, and they sell the product. That was the relationship. And I don't think that that's going to change even with this, you know, happening with Violent J going, them actually tagging Violent J and ICP on Instagram, I believe even Facebook. So, I mean, they are very well aware of ICP and their presence and their love. I mean, fuck, when the Dreamin' flavor came out, the Orange Sickle flavor came out, they sent like fucking little boxes to both Shaggy and Jay to do like a taste test, which I think was really fucking cool. So, I mean, they are definitely aware of them, and they, I think, are, I think they're respectful of the relationship that currently exists between the two. But I just don't see them ever working in a certain capacity. Like everyone's saying that they want the Wicked Clown cola flavor to come out. I don't see that ever happening. Maybe some kind of, you know, thing where there's quote unquote a sponsorship potentially could happen, you know, where you have the two of them doing an event maybe together. But I think Faygo's goal has always been to be a family business that sells fucking soda pop. ICP just happens to like be absolutely out there marketing their product to the greater United States, because I truly firmly believe that Faygo would not have reached it would not have made the reach it has made without ICP fucking talking about it in their music, spray it on the crowd. Like all the notoriety that ICP has for, you know, them and their show Faygo is part of it. So Faygo is so ingrained into their legacy that, you know, I mean, they've got a good relationship. I just don't see it becoming anything really more than that. But very cool to see them, you know, embrace them in this way, which I think, again, them sending those boxes to Shaggy and Jay for the new flavor was, to me, them embracing and acknowledging, hey, we got a new product. We'd love for you guys to try it. That, to me, was cool because, you know, it's, again, them acknowledging that ICP is a huge part of, you know, their customer base. You know, Juggalos are a huge part of their customer base. And to me, it was them nodding to that without saying, like, hey, yo, you know what I mean? Because obviously, at the end of the day, Faygo is a fucking brand and they've got a reputation to maintain at the end of the day, right? So moving on from that, this was actually just announced yesterday, but I'm going to throw it in here at this point. Like I said, I don't do anything in a certain order of when they happen. It's just kind of all together. Low-key dropping release 4. It's coming out on the 14th of April. So that's what, this Monday? Today is the 12th? Yes. There you have the image of the CD, which I did not notice this until the homie Wasteland Waldo, aka Gage, shout out to him. He pointed this out. I seen Robbie from Diff Tug noticed it right away as well. I didn't. I did not at all. I just kind of grabbed the fucking image real quick and put down in the comments, we in this bitch, because, you know, Release 4 is kind of low-key's Forgotten Freshness, his Cryptic Collections, his, you know, it's all of the songs, singles and songs that he's put out that never made it on an album. So it actually says right there, 15 new, rare, and unreleased tracks from the Loke Records vault. So, I mean, this is singles that he's put out. This is songs that he had made for albums that didn't make it, and things like that. And I'm kind of right there with the homie Gage, because he had commented and said that he wanted, I'm going to paraphrase, but he basically wanted to see potentially the other, 4 tracks that were supposed to be on Portraits of Horror end up right here on Release 4. And I am not mad at that one little bit. I would absolutely love that. In fact, I would probably take those tracks, find somebody who can make bootleg CDs and like, yo, I want Portraits of Horror with all of the tracks together and a book with all of the images minus, you know, the other 4 tracks. But Release 4 is coming. Absolutely dope. I totally brought it up and then totally forgot my train of thought. ADHD like a motherfucker. But what Gage and what Robbie had noticed on the artwork is you look at the astronaut leaning down, the mask that's on the ground there is the new one from the Love EP, which is really fucking cool. It's like, to me, it's like that it's definitely showing this is more of the modern era of low-key. So I don't fully know how much old stuff there's going to be on this album. And I could be wrong on that. I know I haven't fully listened to all of the Release albums, you know, because again, they are just kind of a collection of songs that don't, you know, fully go together like an album. So I haven't totally dove into them, but I know the first 2 I've listened to at least once. And there is a lot of Mission Infect kind of tracks there. You know, it's them featuring each other. So they're, like I said, they're Mission Infect tracks. So they just weren't on a Mission Infect album. So Release 4, very excited for that to come out. I would love to see fucking On My Way to Kill Your Bitch be on there and it to have a solid home. And really, this makes me want to go listen to the other 3 releases. And kind of, I guess, kind of dissect a little bit, take some of the Mission Infect stuff out and get, like, the Release albums to be straight up low-key. Excuse me. To straight up be low-key. I think that would be, maybe in a playlist. Do it like that. Put everything in a playlist and kind of listen to those together like that. But yeah, Release 4 coming out. Super fucking dope. Excited for that. I know I know of 3 tracks for sure that are going to be on there just because of low-key. When I asked him about Love, I asked him about Dominate, Stay Strong, and Unbreakable, and he said, like, the style of those songs, having the X, is just, you know, the only thing that those tracks share in similarities to Love, and that he actually planned on putting those on Release 4. And that was before the fucking schedule dropped with Release 4. I was like, oh, I didn't realize Release 4 was coming that quick. But yeah, Release 4 coming out April 14th. I don't know if this is going to be on streaming or just on CD. I would imagine it would probably get uploaded to listentolowkey.com, which is his website where you can listen to all of his music for free, or you can buy digital versions of the album from there. It's an absolutely wonderful website to go to if you don't have streaming and you want to dive into Low-Key's discography. That's the place to go. So moving on from that, the Gods of Evil Rise. I want to call it a little mini tour, but a la Zulilu, this was actually, the flyer was first revealed at Astronomicon, and I can't remember if it was posted before I did the last What's Happening Now or not, but the image I had was super fucking blurry. I know the homies at Deck One Delt showed it off and you could not read it, and I'm like, yeah, I agree. It's hard to fucking see. We have a full official graphic, though, that shows these tour dates. I have no idea if there's going to be more or not. The fact that they had physical copies of this little flyer at Astro tells me that these are the definitive 5 dates that they're going to do. But it's more or less, Ala Zululu kind of marketed it as like a ritual, but it's definitely like shows to kind of promote the new album, I believe. That's my full assumption there. There's no details about anyone that's performing on any of these, but they are heading to Webster in Hartford, Connecticut. They're hitting Pittsburgh. They're going to Columbus, Ohio, which will be the official Gods of Evil Rise album release party, which falls on a fucking Saturday. It's the day before Mother's Day. And I am actively trying to get there for that. You know, kick it with the homies from Deck One Delt, potentially be in their studio for their show on Mother's Day. I don't know, man. I might try to talk to them, see if they want to do the podcast on the actual 10th before the Gods of Evil Rise show. I think that might be a good idea. That way, you know, all those with moms can, you know what I mean? You know, the ones that are going to do Mother's Day with whomever, they have that open. But yeah, I am actively trying to go to the Columbus show for the album release party. I've only ever experienced one release party. That was for Yum Yum Bedlam, and it was definitely something that I enjoyed. The one thing about that party that was a little disappointing, and I know Meg shares this sentiment with me as well, is the fact that they didn't really play a lot of songs off the album. So my hope would be that going into this show is that they'll do, and I feel like they will. They've been performing some of the songs at like Camp Zool and some of their other shows, you know, Horns Over Halo, Till We Meet, I know is a new one that they're going to be playing. So it'll definitely be very like a celebration of the album, but I don't know who else is going to be performing. I would honestly love to see Something Out of Nothing, aka SON, and Super Famous Fun Time guys basically be the only ones at this little party. Maybe Clockwork E, because, you know, they rub elbows with both SON and Fun Time. Keegan Graham would be another one to do a really cool performance. I don't know that Stray would make the drive out for the release party. I know I've seen him post that he'll be at the one for, I think, Connecticut. So I assume he'll be performing there as well. Him and Novels will probably perform. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting when it comes to this release party, is maybe not so much of a straight up fucking concert, but maybe just more of like an actual party where, you know, they're out interacting with everybody. And maybe not. Because that's not at all how the Yum Yum Bedlam release party was. But definitely actively planning and trying to make it to that show. Trying to find a hotel room for that one night was like insane. It was going to be like damn near $200. I'm like, I cannot. Not for one night. So, I don't know. None of the guys from Deck One Delt have offered their couch to me. So, you know, if they offer their couch to me, then there's really nothing stopping me from going to this show. You know what I mean? Like, I'll couch surf if I have to. But, you know, I'm also not the guy that's going to ask. So they got to offer that up. But moving on from that, then the other really big news is Camp Zool 5 finally revealed, going down September 5th to the 7th. Quite literally. And I wondered this too when they first announced the float. I was like, I wonder if they'll just kind of like swap places. And that's essentially what has happened, because the float is going down in June, which typically the float always falls on Labor Day weekend. Camp Zool is now going down the weekend after Labor Day. So, absolutely cool. Should be a little bit cooler during that time of the year. Maybe not so much. I know here in Indiana, it stays pretty well scorching hot until closer to fucking October. And I assume Ohio, I mean, the two states are so close to each other. Our climates are very, very similar. So, but yeah, Camp Zool 5 going down September 5th to 7th. It's going down same place, Terror Town. It's no longer called Terror Town, I don't believe. I know there was a new company that had bought it out. It is now, I think Cincinnati Fear Fest is the like company that bought it out. So nowhere on here does it even say Terror Town anymore. So I don't think Terror Town is quote unquote a thing anymore. But it's really cool seeing that Cincinnati Fear Fest there. And being closer to Halloween makes me think that this is going to be a very Halloween-y themed fucking Camp Zool, which I think would be absolutely fucking dope to go to. But calling it right now, like, this was one of the events that I really wanted to go to, and the chances and likelihood of me going to this now is very, 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 very slim. When they first announced Lights Out 7, Megs and I started making plans to go to that. I mean, we have bought costumes to go to that. So, like, the wheels on that are already turning. And Camp Zool 5 is going down the next weekend after Lights Out. And there's no way with PTO and, you know, just hotels, there's no way we're going to be able to go to both. And so it's down to us having to choose. And again, with the wheels already in motion for Lights Out, that's probably the one we're going to go to. And honestly, I mean, Zool's going to be at Lights Out. So, like, I feel like we will still get a piece of camp by seeing Zool at Lights Out. You know, I have my assumptions that some of the other guys from LLE will be in attendance. I know some of them, they go to shows. And I mean, if Zool's going to be driving up to Detroit anyways, I feel like they would hitch a ride and be there in attendance anyway. So, I mean, to be able to kick it with them in the crowd, if that opportunity comes up, I think would be just an interesting way to have kind of camp vibes, not at camp. So I'm calling it right now. There's a very unlikely chance that I will be at Camp Zool this year, which it's a bummer, but it also happens. You know what I mean? You can't hit them all, and there will be more. So, but yeah, Camp Zool 5 going down September 5th to the 7th. If you've never been, go check it out. It's absolutely dope. It's much more intimate than the Gathering has become. I've talked to other Zooligans, other Juggalos who have said that Camp Zool really is reminiscent and has kind of bottled the energy of what the early gatherings were like. So take from that what you will. And so moving right along, we are going to dive into a lot of the shit from Astronomicon. And I kind of have these in a weird order. So I think what I want to start off with is this year marks 25 years of Freekshow. So I think they talked about it in their panel, quote unquote, their seminar. But there was also this, like, I'm like zooming in on it. It's like this display. I don't think it's a poster. It's kind of like this little display piece, and it looks like it's at the merch booth from Astro, where it shows Twiztid Freekshow shoes. You've got fucking jackets, looks like some pants, a hoodie, 2 different hoodies, looks like 2 different jerseys, 3 different jerseys. And what does this say? Cereal. What's that say? Is that speaker heads? Is that what that is? Sneaker? Is that sneaker or speaker heads? I think it says sneaker. I have no fucking clue what a sneakerhead is. I'm not into shoes like that. Like, that's one thing I never got into, is collecting shoes. I worked with two guys that were all about fucking Air Jordans, and that was just their thing. I'm like, bruh, I don't get into shoes like that. So, I mean, it's cool that they've got some merch dropping for the 25th anniversary of Freekshow. I'll say what I want to say about Freekshow in a minute. And then moving right along from that, they did announce they are doing a 25-year anniversary tour for Freekshow. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't they do one of these tours already? Wasn't it for the 15-year anniversary back in 2015? I feel like that was a thing. Maybe it was the Freak Tasteless tour, or there was a show. There was something that they had done in some kind of a capacity previously that was for Freekshow. They are going on tour, and this tour is primarily hitting the West Coast. The furthest east that they are going is Joliet, Illinois, which is basically Chicago. That is the furthest east they are going on this tour, which, to be completely honest, I ain't mad at it, because the West Coast, they get left out a lot. So, joining them on this tour, of course, is Blaze Ya Dead Homie. They've got ABK, along with Sorry X and Bake Low. I'm familiar with the name Bake Low. Do not know who Sorry X is. So, you can definitely expect Blaze and ABK to come out. And honestly, I think it'd be kind of cool to see, Blaze do a lot of like one less G in the hood type of stuff. and maybe even have ABK do a lot of Hatchet Warrior stuff, because that's very close to the same era. I mean, obviously One Less G came out in 2001. Hatchet Warrior came out in 2003, but it's still close enough to the same era to me for that to be, I think, what their sets should be. Just stick to the era, honestly. But you can definitely, I foresee completely Blaze and ABK coming down to do What's Going Down up on stage. I definitely see them doing that. They did that for the what was that tour they just went on? What was the name of that tour? Certified Psychos. It was something they did on that tour, so there's no reason they shouldn't do it for this Freekshow tour. And so, to be completely honest, I mean, Joliet, Illinois is not that far, but I've been vocal about this in the past, and I'm going to be vocal about it again. Freekshow is just not, like, I would not put Freekshow in my top 5 Twiztid albums. I don't even know that I would put it in my top 10, to be completely honest. Freekshow is one of those albums that is just kind of unanimously praised by juggalos. And when I first heard it, there was a lot of songs I liked, and there was a lot of songs I didn't like. And actually, around the time that they first announced this, Tuesday, today's Saturday. Tuesday, I listened to Freekshow and Mirror Mirror, and then Mansmith. And honestly, between Mirror Mirror and Freekshow, I was not, like, I like the music, obviously, and I was singing along to a lot of it, but it has been so long since I listened to either one of those albums, and I realized that that was kind of on purpose. They're not some of my favorites, and I know that there's juggalos ready to fucking stick their pitchforks at my throat right now, because those are highly praised albums, and they're honestly not some of my favorite. They've got dope tracks on them, don't get me wrong, and they come from a very, epic time in Psychopathic Records history. But they just, for me, like, I first heard Freekshow in the fall of 2007, fucking 7 years after it came out. And at that same time, I also had heard Most Tasteless for the first time. That was when I first got those 2 CDs. Hatchet Gear didn't have them when I first learned who Twiztid was in 2007. So I didn't get my copy of Freekshow and Most Tasteless until I went to a Best Buy. I was like, oh shit. Grabbed them up, and then fucking listened to them. I enjoyed Most Tasteless way more than I enjoyed Freekshow. And it surprised me, because that was one of the albums that everybody's like, Freekshow is one of their best, or Freekshow is their best album ever. And it just never was like that for me. And I feel like a lot of it was, and this last listen that I did of it was very much, I think a lot of the guitar riffs, I think kind of put me off just a little bit. Like, and we've talked about this in reviews, like, that is something that has always been very prominently part of their sound, is like guitar riffs and, rock elements. So them going full rock just, made sense to me. But going back and listening to Freekshow, it's so very, like, gritty and very, like, rough sounding, which maybe that's what appeals to a lot of people. To me, it wasn't fully, like, itching my brain. And that, I think that's the conclusion that I've come to with Freekshow, is it's too... I think it was a little too soon to go to that kind of a sound in their career. And then obviously Mirror Mirror, I think, was supposed to be Black Magic. It just kind of got rebranded into, Mirror Mirror. And so a lot more, similar kind of rock riffs than that one as well. But I mean, the album is great. It's just, I don't praise it nearly as much as others do. There are a lot of albums I prefer way better. And Mansmith is just one of them, and Mansmith is my first Twiztid album I ever heard front to back. Again, I discovered Twiztid in the spring of fucking 2007. Went on a Hatchet Gear. What they had available was Mansmith, Mutant, Cryptic Collection 3. I think they had Cryptic Collection 2. So those are the 4 albums I grabbed. And so because Mansmith was the most recent, minus Mutant, they were 2-part series. So I was like, we'll listen to Mansmith first. That was my first Twiztid album I ever heard. And so, that's the one that gets that nostalgia click for me, is, listening to Karma. And it's like, oh, fuck, that's the fucking memory that gets triggered for me, is Mansmith. So then on this tour, they of course have VIP packages, which includes a one general admission ticket into the show. So fucking glad to see them doing this for years now. Their VIP packages, ICP's VIP packages, they would not hold a candle to Strange Music's, because Strange Music's always included a ticket to the show. And that was something that Twiztid, and it's something that ICP was missing for so many years. So to see Twiztid finally doing this, you can finally get into the show with your VIP package. You don't have to, yeah, I mean, can you imagine you have like $200, you go ahead and secure your VIP package now, but then you go ahead and wait, you know, recover some of your funds before you buy a ticket to the show, or maybe you decide to wait to go to the show to get your ticket, and the motherfucker sells out. Like, make that make sense, why that is even a possibility. You know what I mean? Like, right now, ICP going on tour, they're going to have VIP packages, but you buy a VIP package, it does not include a ticket to the show. You know what I mean? Like, you buy a fucking VIP package, the motherfucker sells out, and now you can't even attend? Make that make sense. Your VIP package should include a ticket. So, absolutely glad to see that being a fucking thing. But the VIP package has a ticket. You get a meet and greet with Twiztid, a photo op with Twiztid, which I feel like the meet and greet photo op, really, you don't need to list it twice. I think that to me is like they're trying to beef up what this looks like. You get an exclusive 11x17 foil VIP poster. You get a 25-year anniversary remastered CD with alternative artwork. You get one Born Twiztid DVD, a 4-pack of Freekshow era Polaroid. Oh, Polaroids. Whoa, how are they going to pull that off? Did they like fucking scan their Polaroids and that's what they're going to give away? One trading card, a tote bag, a VIP laminate with lanyard, and early entry access to merch. That's a fucking VIP package right there. A lot of the stuff in this, you know, the Born Twiztid DVD, the fucking, the photo op, the poster, and the CD, that's kind of like a standard. And I feel like if you have all of those items, that might not be a selling point for you. The interesting one here is this 25 anniversary remastered CD with alternative artwork. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here on my notes because they actually talked about re-recording older Twiztid albums during their seminar. And, you know, re-recording older albums. I've got things highlighted here and I'm not sure how I want to do this. Jamie said he's been in the studio re-recording Freekshow. When you record a record, they become property of the label, which we all kind of knew that. They reached out to the powers that be and couldn't come up with a deal to get masters from Freekshow. Now they will re-record it so all the new fans can enjoy it and all the day oneers can have a refreshed vision of the album. Jamie said people don't need to be offended by them re-recording the album. If you like the original, go listen to the original. And honestly, bouncing off of what I previously said about it sounding a little gritty and rough, I want to hear this polished version of the album. And there's a part of me that wonders if I might like it more. Because I've revisited the remixed and remastered Mutant enough now that there are a lot of the songs on that I like a little bit better than the original. I feel like there's a happy playlist you can make of the two. A lot of the rap songs from Mutant are better than the remixed ones on the remixed albums, but the rock shit that they remixed, they made that shit sound good. And that's kind of what I'm expecting here with this. Obviously, they have Fritz that they're working with, and he's the one that produced Freekshow. So, like, if they give us a way more polished version of the album, I am absolutely down for that. One of the things that I did want to talk about, though, with them re-recording, because for those who don't know, they're kind of doing like a Taylor Swift thing. And with Taylor Swift, if you don't know, there was a guy, forget his fucking name, but he was like I want to say he was a manager or an agent for Kanye West. Obviously, Kanye West and Taylor Swift have had bad beef because, you know, he always goes to these fucking VMA or these award ceremonies and just like shits on her. He's done it more than once. So there's bad blood there, right? This agent that worked with Kanye or worked for Kanye or is associated with Kanye bought the record label, and I'm paraphrasing all these facts, so whatever I get incorrect, absolutely correct me. Bought the label that distributed and owns the masters for a lot of Taylor Swift's early albums. So anytime those albums sell, this guy gets a piece of that money. And obviously she has bad blood with this guy as well. I'm pretty sure he's been vocal against her as well. So this was definitely like a power move on his part to buy that label and now own her masters and, you know, get some of her revenue. So she has gone back and re-recorded her early albums labeled as Taylor's version and re-released them. which for her is great. For a lot of fans, you know, it gets confusing. That's basically what Twiztid has been proposing. And when they first did the Rock the Dead, there was me and a few other people that made this connection immediately, like, oh, they're doing the Taylor Swift thing. And I'm not mad at them doing it. I think it makes sense for them to do it, especially with Freekshow. People may think that this is a slight at Psychopathic Records, Violent J, ICP, whatever. But Freekshow is actually still owned by Island. It's literally the same situation that ICP has issues with when they try to repress Riddlebox, Great Malenko, Amazing Jungle Brothers. They don't own those masters, so they have to reach out to these labels. And, you know, Island is owned by Def Jam, and Def Jam just basically let them walk off the label. They did not give a fuck about them, so I don't think they give a fuck about them now. And I can only imagine the hoops that ICP had to jump through to not only get the first 6 box set release, but to get the 20th anniversary of Riddlebox, the 20th anniversary of Great Malenko release. And it's my assumption that that's why we never got one for Amazing Jungle Brothers in 2019, is they were just like, it's not worth the headache, and there probably is not a lot of money in it. I'm sure there's a lot of upfront costs that the label's like, I mean, you put up this much, then yeah, we'll cover the rest, and, you know, you can fucking do this. I imagine those are some of the hurdles that probably went into it, and they were just like, fuck it. Which, you know, Bizarre is under fucking Island as well. So yeah, that's why we never, I think that's why we never got a 20th anniversary of Bizarre, which there was so much potential for them to do a fucking like anniversary edition of that album with new artwork, new books, new fun shit to do. Oh man, there's so much potential just left on the table. So much money being left on the table. It's like all these ideas that I can come up with. I know Violent J could come up with, and definitely Jumpsteady and Shaggy could come up with. So, you know, I'm not mad at Twiztid for doing this. Now, obviously, I am going to kind of back it up just a nut hair here too, because, you know, they talked in that same seminar about Chainsmoker and the fact that, you know, the reason he started to re-record the original Chainsmoker is because he's tired of playing with motherfuckers, is the way he put it. You know, you go on to streaming. I didn't know this because I have the CD, so when I put it on my iTunes, it goes to my phone. It's in the order I want it to be, with the artwork that I want it to be. And I think when it comes to him talking about the artwork side of it, you go on there right now, and I think it's Cryptic Collection 2 has Tunnel of Love as the artwork. You go on there, and fucking South of Hell by Boondocks has The Harvest as the artwork. So there's shit on there that's just not right. And I mean, it's obvious that there are people that are in control of that. They just don't give a fuck. They don't care about those artists anymore. They left the label. Fuck them, you know? Those things are never going to get fixed. Like, there's money they could be making from these albums by having the distribution to put them on streaming, to, you know, there's so much things that they could do that I understand them wanting to do it. But I'm there with somebody who already has the album, where it's like, why would I buy this album again? You know what I mean? So there's definitely a flip side for me of, I understand why they want to do it. I understand them doing it, but it's also something like, I'm not just going to run out and buy this fucking album. So that being said, the maxi single that they released at the Chainsmoker show in Denver, which had like 3 tracks on it, that definitely confirms for me that that was just to be like officially a single. And it sounds like he is going to be re-recording the whole album. Says, and one of the things he said is he might release a Chainsmoker box set because he's got so much material. And I would be interested possibly in that. I think I'd be interested in that. I'm also, these notes that I'm kind of pulling from are from Faygo lovers. I will post the link in the description if you want to read through them yourself. Replicon Radio over on YouTube has the full panel, the seminar. I would recommend watching their video. I know Faygo lovers live streamed it on Facebook, but live streaming it on Facebook, the quality sucks. You can barely hear them. Live streaming is great to get it in the moment, but the quality always takes a dip. So if you're a content creator who likes to go and get like these groundbreaking stories when they happen, sure, you can live stream it and be one of the first ones to do it, but quality over quantity, my friends. Record the shit. It's going to come out better. I promise you. Don't live stream it. But yeah, jumping back then to them re-recording the albums, The host says it's interesting that Twiztid are being shamed for trying to gain ownership of their masters. Madrox responds to say it's part of the business, but one of their biggest motivating factors. And Monoxide says there's nothing about blackmail. There's nothing about blackmail about trying to get their albums. They joke the word blackmail was used incorrectly and saying it's like saying the jersey they're wearing are sublicated instead of sublimated. And then Monoxide dies laughing for a good 2 minutes. That was actually a funny moment in the fucking seminar. You know, and I'm somebody in the past that I was very super vocal about. I did not like when they were getting their masters and then repressing it and taking the Hatchet Man off. For me at the time, it felt like they were erasing their past. I didn't fully understand the situation at hand. Do I think that they blackmailed ICP? No, because that's not what blackmail is. Blackmail is you know something about, like, blackmail would be them saying, hey, if you don't give us these masters, we're going to go tell all the juggalos that you're high on fucking fentanyl. That's blackmail. That's saying you're going to do something if you don't do something for me. That's blackmail. They bartered for their masters. They said, hey, we'll do the gathering for free, but we want a master in return. They bartered for it, and ICP agreed to do it. And at the time when they first was talking about this, I was like, yo, that fucking sucks. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, why couldn't they just work out a deal? So, you know, you can't just criticize one side. So the one side of it is, you know, why, if Twiztid went in and absolutely would not take any money and they were like, absolutely fucking not. We want a master or we're not doing it. If they did it like that, then yeah, that part's a little bit shitty, but we don't know if that's how it went down. Powers that be could say that's how it went down, but we will never know. And I'm at a point now where certain powers that be will say that's how it went down, and I'm not going to fucking believe them because their character has been, I question their character now because of other things that they have said. It's like, what? Like, Faygo lovers going on a fucking Bootleg Kev interview and pretending like you don't know who Faygo lovers is, and then to turn around and be like, oh, I don't fuck with them because they're cool with somebody that you're not cool with. That fucking whack. That was so fucking whack, and so much about that character respect was so lost that, like, if that person came out and said, oh yeah, Twiztid did this, I'd be like, I don't believe you. I just won't anymore. You know what I mean? So, like, we don't know if that's how it went down. More than likely, what happened, and this is me just assuming, this is me just speculating that what happened. Twiztid was like, hey, instead of paying us to do the gathering, what if you give us a master for this album? And just to, like, you know, hold the family together, they were like, I mean, we don't want to do that, but we will do that because we want to give, you know, we want to give the juggalos what they want. That to me is more likely what happened. And then after a certain point, they were like, no, we've given you too many. That to me is what I think happened is like that. When really what they could have done is, you know, well, let's sit down and let's talk about it. Let's write out a contract so that we can, you know, give you guys, you know, distribution for some of your older albums so you can get them back out there. Or, you know, put it in contract that we're going to give you this master, but we still want to see the Hatchet Man has to be on there. We still want like 25% of the fucking revenue from it. We want the royalties from it. There's so many things they could have done legally. They just didn't. And obviously they probably didn't want to get lawyers involved. That costs money. There's so much shit that they could have done to really hash that situation out, to not get it to the point where they felt like they were strong-arming each other. And ultimately, that is the split that happened between Twiztid and ICP, is they couldn't see eye to eye business-wise anymore, straight up. And it affected their personal relationship because of it. So, you know, I am not mad at all about them re-recording their albums because I get it. You know, if it gives them the opportunity to get their albums out there, then that's really fucking cool. When they re-record it, though, I would love for them to leave some of the very historical stuff in there. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, they're not going to be able to re-record anything Shaggy or Jaded. There's probably other artists that have come in that they're not going to be able to re-record stuff for. So, like, Freakshow is going to sound very different. And there's a lot of, like, Jay on the Hook. there's a lot of songs on Freekshow where Jay is on the hook. It's not going to be there anymore. Obviously, there's members of 3 6 Mafia that are not alive anymore. So what's going down is probably going to sound just like the video that they put out, where it's just going to be Twiztid, Blaze, and ABK. It's going to sound very, very, very different for sure. But if they can, I'd like for them to keep as much of that era alive. Because, you know, one of the things that happened recently that really rubbed me the wrong way was when they repressed or re-released Big Money Hustlers and they completely scrubbed Twiztid from the credits. That to me was 1000% a grifty move of them to do it back at Twiztid, because, you know, Twiztid repressed some of their albums and the Hatchet Man was gone. Like, it's, you know, an eye for an eye leaves the world blind, and that's just not good for anybody, I think. And one of the things that I would love, because I see it a lot on like fucking Reddit and Twitter, like there's so many people coming into the scene, and I think, you know, as an old school juggalo, as somebody who got into this shit during the fucking prime of their era, I want to be like, oh, you like this shit? Yo, check this out. This is something they did. You know, I want to excite them. I want to show them the stuff that excited us. I want to get newer juggalos excited about shit we were excited about back then. But then also be like, yo, this is what they're doing now. It's not the same, but it's still dope. But this, look what they fucking did. Like, this is their fucking legacy. I think juggalos need that. They absolutely need that. And I think I see Ouija doing a lot of that for ICP. But there's such a huge chunk of their fucking legacy that it seems and it feels like a lot of juggalos, old school juggalos, just kind of want to omit. So like anytime I'm on Twitter and I see somebody singing praise that I know doesn't like Twiztid anymore, and I see them sing praise about Dark Lotus, like, it's refreshing, because it's like, okay, cool. There's, you know what I mean? Like, they're not so spiteful that they're just going to pretend Dark Lotus doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Great segue into the last big fucking topic here. It was also revealed they took some questions, and somebody asked them about D4L, which on the last Songs of Samhain album that they put out, they had a song called Merciful Fate, labeled as D4L. Heavy Dark Lotus vibes. A lot of Lotus references. There was references to Black Rain in there. The fucking song straight up sound like it came from Black Rain recording sessions, straight up. So they asked about D4L, and Mad Jock straight up said there are a lot of Lotus songs that have been recorded for over a year and a half. They may eventually be released. Nobody's uninvited to the party. If all members want to be part of it, they are welcome. And I know when I did my review for Songs of Samhain 4, I was like, you know, at this point, why not? Why not go and do it? I still kind of carry that sentiment. Like, if they want to do something Lotus type, I would be open to it. I 1,000,000% do not want them to call it Dark Lotus. I don't want them to call it D4L either. That's weird. I think at the time I had said what I think would be cool for them to do is call themselves the Four Petals of the Lotus, something along that lines. That way it's a reference to Dark Lotus without directly being Dark Lotus. And my opinion on Dark Lotus has not changed. That I really don't think that they should touch it at all. And I know there's a lot of people that feel the opposite way, because like most people will say, hey, they have like 75% of Dark Lotus. Why not? Why shouldn't they? They own it too. They were part of it too. And when I see people say that, to me, it's they don't understand. When people say that, straight up, I'm like, they don't understand the legacy of it. You know what I mean? And like, I didn't even learn about Dark Lotus until 2007, but learning about its inception and learning about the time leading up to it, I understand its legacy. I understand it. You know what I mean? Like, it was ICP and Twiztid. It was this super group that they were going to do. It was going to be all dark. It was going to be wicked shit. Going to be fucking awesome. And I mean, it went through several different iterations. You know, at one point, Vampiro was considered a member of Dark Lotus when he doesn't even fucking rap. You know, so Dark Lotus itself, in its original inception, I mean, the very first time it's ever mentioned is in the Shaggy Show off of Amazing Chuckle Brothers. We got some new shit with my homies Twiztid. It's called Dark Lotus. Should I play some for y'all? Hell no. And then, you know, a couple tracks later, you get Echo Side, which is the first Dark Lotus track. Like, that is so fucking monumental that for me, Dark Lotus at its core is always ICP and Twiztid. You remove any one of those and it's not Dark Lotus anymore. Because to me, Dark Lotus is quite literally the flower that bloomed from ICP and Twiztid working together. You know, very quickly after Twiztid signs to Psychopathic Records, Dark Lotus starts to become a thing. That quick. So Dark Lotus to me, and if you want to, like, I think there's a lot of people that believe in the Dark Carnival as like its own spirit, you know, like its own energy force. Dark Lotus to me was the Dark Carnival through this relationship that was just born, giving birth and growth to something absolutely incredible. That to me was the response of whatever spiritual energy the Dark Carnival represents did. That is how, to me, Dark Lotus came to be, was from them finally working together. And a lot of that came from just recently diving into the old House of Crazy stuff. Like, listening to that, I was like, God damn, like, if I was a fucking juggalo back in the early 90s, listening to ICP, and I discovered House of Crazies, I would have been that fucking juggalo that would have been like, yo, these two need to work together. Because their similarities were so fucking great. Like, they were just meant to work together. So the fact that they did is amazing. And that, to me, again, that's what birthed Dark Lotus, was just their creative juices combined. And I know people like to give credit to one side. People like to say, oh, they've got 75%. Nah. You know what I mean? Like, Dark Lotus is as great and as epic as it is because of the two of those together. And again, you remove them, and it's not Dark Lotus. Call it what you want. Diet Lotus, D4L. You know what I mean? Like, you remove that element, it's not Dark Lotus. Don't even call it that. And, like, I'm still open to them doing the 4 pedals thing if they want to have ABK come back and they want to do, like, 4 pedals and it be, like, references to the Dark Lotus, but they're not Dark Lotus. I would still be open to that, but really, Twiztid reminded me last fall of a group that they pretty much never utilized, and that I feel like is just sitting there waiting to be utilized, and that is Samhain Witch Killers. I think that they have their dark, scary group. They have their dark, scary super group just waiting to be utilized. Samhain Witch Killers. Bring ABK in, bring Blaze in, bring Boondocks in. That would be fucking dope. And do Samhain Witch Killers and have it be on a similar vibe without referencing any kind of lotus flower. You know what I mean? Obviously, they feel very passionate, I think, about bringing that era back. And they say, and here's the thing too, man, is Madrox talks about, like, wanting to give the fans what they want. And what the fans want is Dark Lotus. They want everyone back together. Obviously, Madrox cannot control that. He cannot change people's minds. But I think if he understood what it is Juggalos really want, like the majority of Juggalos, I think that they would just leave it alone. You know what I mean? Like, the legacy of Dark Lotus is something I think that should just be left alone until the day comes, if ever, which I don't think ever will come. And honestly, the cycle of the Lotus right now, when you look at the 4 albums, it's perfect. There's no reason to bring it back. Because, you know, Tales from Lotus Pod is mud, Black Rain is water, Opaque Brotherhood is air, and then Mud, Water, Air, and Blood is the blood. And that is the full blooming cycle of the Lotus. I don't think that there's anything more that they really even need to do with it. So, like, if Dark Lotus never comes back, I'm okay with that. And there's a huge part of me that wants it to kind of stay that way. But then there's always that, like, morbid curiosity that wants to fucking hear some more Lotus shit. But, like, at the end of the fucking day, like, it's not going to be Dark Lotus if ICP is not part of it. If ICP went and did some shit with Isham and Ouija Mac and tried to call it Dark Lotus, it would not be Dark Lotus, because it's not what Dark Lotus is. And Madrox said something during this seminar that made me realize not even Madrox gets it. Madrox doesn't even get the legacy of fucking Dark Lotus. He goes, Van Halen, AC/DC, etc. They have all been restructured. They've all restructured their members and been successful. He like directly called Dark Lotus a band and talked about like restructuring it. It's like not even Madrox. And I mean, and he's one of the guys that was there during its early inceptions. And it's like, that was like crushing to hear him like just talk about it like it's just some band. Like we're just a group of fans doing some like music together. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, he's right. It's just a group. It's just a band and you can replace members. But for me, at that core, it's just like ICP and Twiztid is what Dark Lotus was. And I'm not even including Blaze in that because he was added after the fact. Like that early Dark Lotus shit was Twiztid and ICP. Blaze just made sense because he's always been like a third member of Twiztid. So it was never, for me, it was never like a question of whether Blaze should be there or not. You know what I mean? Like, that to me was like, fuck. I don't think Madrox gets it. Like, for him, it's just a band. But for a lot of juggalos, it's not. It's so fucking... just not on the same page at all. And that tells me that they're going to do something Lotus. They're probably going to call it something stupid. And this is me going down a negative route. They're going to call it something stupid. And, fuck, I think I have a quote from Robbie from Diff Tug. I don't know if I put it in here either. Fuck, I don't. Oh, I do have it. I don't have it in my graphics though. Robbie from Do It For The Underground said it so fucking perfectly, and this is probably where I'm just going to end it at, right? He said, the thing is, I would love a great Wicked rap record from Twiztid, Blaze, and ABK, but there's no reason to call it Lotus anything. All that will do is deepen the arguing and division in the community. It might get some purchase or streams out of morbid curiosity because of the name, but it's going to piss more people off than it will excite. And when he said that, I was like, I 100 reacted that shit in Discord. I was like, bro, you just fucking hit that nail on the head. Like, that's exactly where I'm at with it. I would be curious to hear it, but I don't think, I just don't think it's going to piss off more than it's going to excite. And that's where I'm going to leave it at that. So we are clocking in at nearly an hour on this video. God damn. We need to jump into the collection plate and wrap this baby up.
Pass the collection plate. Show me how you give. Pass the collection plate.
Heading into the collection plate, we've got 66 Sam with a $5 super comment. Says, ramble on, we still here. Appreciate that $5. And also appreciate you saying that you're okay with rambling. I know there are people that just do not like me rambling. I get comments of people like, man, fucking you ramble the fuck on. And I do. So those who are okay with it, I appreciate it. I mean, this is what I do. This is what I do. If you don't like it, that's up to you. We also have Jokes on You 5629 who said, what would need to happen for you to actually be at the gathering? That 1% chance. Megs and I actually talked about that. We did a dinner with Megs in DC. You can head over to her channel to watch it. Megs dinner with Megs in DC essentially replaced Juggalo Talk, which Juggalo Talk was something that we started because her and I used to do a live stream series fucking years ago called Lunch with Megs in DC, which everything's kind of come full circle. So her and I are going to try to start doing more of those. And in that, we actually talked about the gathering and just kind of where our stance is right now with the gathering. So rather than repeat all that here, I will say, go watch that live stream. So you can find her channel in the link in the description. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I probably don't, there's probably nothing that could make that 1% change. You know what I mean? We also have Anthony LeBrun, who says, can't wait for an unboxing video of the Double Dragon's second project. And to be completely honest with you, I did not pre-order it. I'm not planning to order it. My plan is to actually grab it in person if we end up going to Lights Out. That's my plan right now. So unfortunately, there will be no unboxing from me. I don't know if I see somebody out there who has, who orders the album and does an unboxing, I will definitely share it and post it to my channel, so that you guys can see what that merch and stuff looks like. But I am not actually planning to. Again, financially, there's not a lot that I'm doing right now, and buying albums is one of them. We also have Jolo J Word, I about said World, who said Jay is 200 on Cameo, and that actually makes sense. That seems more likely than the way under $50 that I said. $50 for a Cameo is a steal. So yeah, just clarifying on the Cameo, Jay is charging $200 for it, which that's expected. And then this one is just kind of a weird one that I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw this into the collection plate. Wicked Texan said, damn DC, that beard always on point, always on point, out everything in video. This is the thing I point out. Oh, I think I understand. Well, I've read this like 3 times. I was like, what was he trying to say there? I think he was trying to say, damn, DC, that beard is on point. Out of everything in the video, this is the thing that I point out. Much love. Hey, I love it. Thank you. Actually, at the time, it needed groomed. It's been groomed since then, so it's not as bushy and crazy and going every which way, which my beard likes to do that a lot. So I try to keep it, you know, trimmed and looking professional the best that I can. But that is going to do it for this edition of the collection plate. If you would like to be considered for the collection plate, make sure you leave a thoughtful comment down below and tell me what you think about what's happening now. I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.